Most men believe that a better physique comes from working harder in the gym. More sets, more weight, more days per week. And to some extent that's true. But here's what nobody wants to admit. I've seen guys in the gym for years, showing up 5, 6 days a week, moving serious weight, sweating through their shirts, and yet the biggest thing on their body is still their stomach. And if you ask them to drop and do 10 burpees on the spot, we'd have a medical situation on our hands. Being in the gym does not guarantee a good physique. It never has. I've been training since I was 14 years old, nearly 5 decades in and out of weight rooms. I've tried programs, diets, supplements, you name it. And for a long time, even with all that effort, I wasn't getting the results I actually wanted. Not because I wasn't working hard enough, but because I was destroying my own progress every single day outside the gym, through habits I refuse to honestly look at. I'm 62 now, and I'll tell you straight, my physique today is in better shape than it was when I was 45. Not because of a magic program, not because of injections, not because of some extreme diet that makes life miserable, but because I finally committed to 4 basic lifestyle habits that I should have locked in 20 years earlier. These aren't secrets. They're not flashy. But I can tell you with absolute certainty when I combined all 4, everything changed. Not just my body, my energy, my mental clarity, my discipline, my overall health. Everything. Let's get into it. Habit 1. Quit alcohol. The first habit, and probably the hardest sell, was quitting alcohol. I already know what you're thinking. A few drinks on the weekend never hurt anyone. I train hard enough to offset it. Red wine is actually good for you. I used to tell myself every one of those things. But here's what I had to eventually accept. You cannot look at alcohol as a harmless hobby if your goal is an optimal physique. It doesn't matter how disciplined you are everywhere else. Alcohol is a full system saboteur. And most guys only count the calories in the drink itself. That's not even close to the full cost. Start with sleep. A lot of guys actually drink to fall asleep faster. And sure, you might knock out quicker, but the quality of that sleep is terrible. Alcohol suppresses REM sleep, which is the stage where your body actually repairs tissue, consolidates memory, and releases growth hormone. You can lie in bed for 8 hours after a few drinks and wake up feeling like you only got 4, because in terms of real recovery, you basically did. Then there's the hush hormone impact. Alcohol directly suppresses testosterone. For a man in his 40s, 50s, or 60s, testosterone is already declining naturally. Drinking accelerates that process. And low testosterone means less muscle, more fat storage, lower energy, and worse recovery. You're fighting an uphill battle and pouring sand in your own engine at the same time. But the part nobody wants to count, the part I wasn't counting for years, is everything that comes along with drinking. For me, it was never just the drinks. It was the late-night pizza, the wings, the bar food, the missed workout the next morning because my head was pounding, the low-energy and garbage food choices the entire next day while my body craved sugar and salt to compensate, the week of poor sleep that followed, the discipline that quietly fell apart. Your body keeps receipts for all of it, every single time. And when you're over 40 or 50 or 60, you don't recover like you did at 25. You don't get unlimited chances to abuse your body and still look good. Alcohol ages you inside and out. So before you spend another $1 on supplements, fat burners, or testosterone boosters, put the bottle down for 60 days. Just 60 days. See what happens to your sleep, your energy, your body composition, your mental clarity. The results will speak for themselves. Habit 2. Track your macros. The second habit was learning to track my macros. And honestly, this might be an even harder sell than quitting the booze, because most men believe they already have a decent handle on their diet. They know what's healthy and what isn't. They don't need to log every bite of food like some obsessive person with a spreadsheet and a food scale. I've coached a lot of men, and I can tell you nearly every single one of them, when they started tracking for the first time, was genuinely shocked at what they discovered. Some were eating way more than they thought, especially from foods they considered healthy. Granola bars loaded with sugar, fruit smoothies with 400 calories, salad dressings that turn a healthy meal into a calorie bomb, foods that get marketed as clean and nutritious but are essentially glorified candy bars. Others were eating far less than they thought, particularly protein. They assumed they were getting enough, but when the numbers came in, they were hitting maybe 60 or 70% of what they actually needed to support muscle maintenance and growth. And if you're not getting enough protein, it doesn't matter how hard you train, you're not giving your body the raw material it needs to rebuild. Here's the bottom line. It's very hard to fix what you refuse to measure. Tracking macros isn't a punishment. It's education. And you don't have to do it forever. You just have to do it long enough to stop lying to yourself about what you're actually eating. I usually recommend 8 to 12 weeks. That's enough time to build a real understanding of the foods you eat regularly. The protein content, the fat, the carbs, the calorie density. After that, you develop an intuition. You can look at a plate of food and have an accurate, honest read on what you're taking in. No more guessing. No more frustration when the scale isn't moving or when the mirror shows you something you don't want to see. The men who stay stuck aren't lazy. Most of them are just operating blind. They're guessing at calories, guessing at portions, guessing at protein intake, and then getting angry when their body doesn't respond the way they want. Tracking gives you the truth, and the truth, even when it's uncomfortable, gives you the power to actually change things. Habit 3. Add calisthenics to your training. The third habit was adding calisthenics to my training, and this one changed how I think about physical fitness entirely. I've been lifting weights my whole life. I respect it completely. Weight training builds strength, adds muscle, improves bone density, all of which become increasingly important as you get older. I'm not here to argue that calisthenics is better than lifting weights. That's a pointless debate. They both work. The smart move is understanding how they complement each other. What calisthenics gave me that years of weight training hadn't was control. Real, honest control over my own body. I know men who can bench press serious weight, but can't do 20 clean push-ups without their lower back collapsing. I know guys with big legs, but can't perform a proper bodyweight squat without their knees caving in. I know guys who look strong in a gym, but can't hang from a pull-up bar for 30 seconds. That's not real fitness. That's muscle without a foundation. Calisthenics forces honesty. Push-ups, pull-ups, dips, bodyweight squats, lunges, core work. These aren't beginner exercises when done correctly. They expose your weaknesses immediately. Tight hips, weak posterior chain, poor shoulder stability, no scapular control. If the weakness is there, calisthenics will find it. And here's something I've come to appreciate more and more as I've gotten older. Mobility is not optional. The ability to move well, to bend, squat, reach, rotate, get down on the ground, and back up without assistance. That is what physical independence looks like at 60, 70, and beyond. Calisthenics builds that. Weight training alone often doesn't. There's also the practical side. One of the biggest reasons people fall off their training isn't lack of motivation. It's logistics. The gym is too far. Work ran late. Traveling for the week. Equipment is taken. Whatever the excuse is, when your training depends entirely on a specific location and specific equipment, you're giving yourself an easy out on a regular basis. Calisthenics removes that. You can train at home, in a park, in a hotel room, in your garage, anywhere. The fewer barriers you create, the less ammunition you give yourself to quit. And consistency over years, not the perfect program for 3 weeks, is what actually builds a physique worth having. A great body at 60 isn't necessarily the biggest body in the room. It's the one that moves well, stands tall, carries itself with confidence, and still functions the way a man's body is supposed to function. That's worth working toward. Habit 4. Regulate your sleep. The fourth habit, and the one I believe is the most underrated by far, was getting serious about sleep. This is where so many men silently destroy their own progress and never connect the dots. They train hard, they try to eat right, and then they sleep 5 hours a night, stay up until 1 in the morning staring at their phone, and wake up at a different time every day. Then they wonder why they always feel foggy, run down, and weak. They assume it's age, they assume their metabolism is broken, they go looking for more caffeine, more pre-workout, more stimulants just to get through the day. Here's the thing most people don't fully understand. You do not build your body in the gym. The gym is where you break your body down. You create stress, damage to the muscle fibers, depletion of energy systems, mechanical load on joints and connective tissue. That's all the gym is. The actual adaptation, the muscle growth, the strength gains, the body composition changes, happens during recovery. And sleep is the single most important part of that recovery. During deep sleep, your body releases the majority of its daily testosterone and growth hormone output. These are the two most critical hormones for a man who wants to build and maintain muscle while staying lean. When you cut your sleep short or sleep poorly, you are directly cutting the supply of those hormones. You're essentially doing the work in the gym and then refusing to collect the paycheck. And the damage doesn't stop there. Poor sleep elevates cortisol, your primary stress hormone. Chronically elevated cortisol signals your body to hold on to fat, particularly around the midsection. It also spikes ghrelin, the hunger hormone, which is the why. After a bad night of sleep, you wake up craving sugar, processed carbs, and anything that provides fast energy. You think you lack willpower. But a significant part of that is just a biological response to sleep deprivation. When I finally, after years of ignoring this, got serious about sleep, the shift was remarkable. Same training. Roughly the same diet. But I started going to bed at a consistent time, waking up at a consistent time, keeping my room cool and dark, and cutting screens 30 minutes before bed. Within a few weeks, recovery improved noticeably. Energy became more stable throughout the day. Cravings dropped. Workouts got better because I was actually recovered going into them. Decision-making got sharper. Discipline held more consistently. Not because I found a new program or a new supplement, because I stopped sabotaging my own recovery every single night. You cannot out-train bad sleep. Nobody can. It doesn't matter how old you are or how disciplined you think you are in every other area. If your sleep is garbage, your results will reflect that eventually. Guaranteed. So there it is. 4 habits. Quit alcohol. Track your macros, at least for a while. Add calisthenics to your training. Take your sleep seriously. Nothing revolutionary. Nothing you haven't heard before in some form. But here's what I want you to actually hear. These habits work not because they're complicated, but because most men refuse to be honest about whether they're actually doing them. It's easier to buy a new supplement, start a new program, or blame genetics than to look at the lifestyle and admit what's really holding you back. I'm 62, and I don't say that to impress you. I say it because I want you to understand it is not too late. Not at 45, not at 55, not at 62. The body responds to consistency at any age. It always has. But the window to keep making excuses is getting smaller every year. Weakness, poor health, and physical decline are not inevitable consequences of getting older. They are the consequences of bad habits compounding over time, and bad habits can be replaced. There's nothing wrong with wanting a good physique. You work hard. You want to look in the mirror and feel proud of what you see. You want to be strong, mobile, capable, and respected. You want to age in a way that commands respect, not sympathy. All of that is completely reasonable. You deserve it. But you have to earn it through the basics, not the flashy stuff, the fundamentals. Build better habits, build discipline, build consistency, and you will build a better physique at any age. I'm Marcus Reed. Train smart, live long, keep building.